Welcome to the Oh So Spurs podcast. The Morgan Gibbs-White deal is dead, but there's much more important things to focus on anyway, I guess is the silver lining. We're going to talk about all those things today, along with some other breaking news around whether Kinsky is going to be out on loan, who was left behind from the European tour, and what does that mean for them, and what does Spurs really need to make happen over the next week to turn this all around, give us back the euphoria, and make us feel happy again. And to help me with all that is wonderful co-host for the White Hart Lane Weekly in Joe. How are you, Joe?
Good morning, Timothy. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I don't have a nickname for you off the spot. I need to come up with one. We've flirted with Joe and Jim, the Flower Pot Men, but apparently it doesn't really work.
No.
And of course, one of our founders and originals in Sir Deej. How are you, Deej?
Doing all right. It was better before yesterday, but we move on. It's nothing Tottenham hasn't prepared me for.
You can't have everything. We look at we team to smash records. We broke another Here We Go. So I think we were third Here We Go not to happen. Weren't we the second as well? Did we done it twice? Or we only managed that once?
All three. Hat trick.
All three, is it? Yeah.
I made that up.
Feels like that's right. But
Romano wasn't happy about it too. There was a few him replying to comments, being like, I got it right. He was coming.
And they were like medicals. He was very, very sure to include the medical was scheduled, which I do think generally means the transfer is pretty much done, but whatever.
I wonder if the likes of Rob Daly and Ben Haynes had the text message that was kind of like, get down here, you've got an interview to do. I wonder if they got that far. I'll have to check in and see if that happened. But yeah, Rob was saying that he covered for an interview recently, and they get very last minute kind of notifications on these things as well. Everything at Spurs is obviously confidential for good reasons. So yeah. But anyway, it's over, Gibbs-White. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that. We'll touch on the friendlies a bit later, but I don't want to spend too much time on some of them. There's more important stuff that's happened over the next 24 hours. Over the last 24 hours, rather. Before I give my feelings, Joe, what's your perception of it?
It feels like someone has done something wrong. There's someone doing something sketchy somewhere, because it's either we did do what we've been accused of, and that's why it's been able to not happen, or we've met their release clause and they've just not honoured the thing in their contract. I guess it could be that he decided he didn't want to come with a hand around the back of his neck saying you aren't leaving. But there's something sketchy going on with the deal. Missing out on him, I guess, if it depends on who else we can get, I might not even care at all at the end of the window. But he's a good player. Touching on the friendlies, it looked like we did need some creativity, so he could have helped there. But I kind of want to know. I just want to know what the behind the scenes thing is. Who's the bad guy in the situation? That's what.
Yeah, we kind of need more. There's one Telegraph article has come out on some of the information, but it's kept it very vague. It said like we didn't meet things in the release clause, but we can't tell you what they were.
We were the good guys then, because we didn't know what the release clause details were.
That's what it would imply, yeah. But we just don't know. All these clubs, they obviously are going to try and use the press in a way that, sell them the stories that make them look better. Whoever gave them that information is probably a party that wants the story portrayed in a certain way. Before we dive into all that, though, Deej, your initial thoughts, are you on the scale of absolutely gutted, everything's over, burn the club, start again, to who cares, didn't like him anyway? Where are you on the barometer of everything?
I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not gonna. I think there are better options out there for what we're looking for than Morgan Gibbs-White. I think he's a fantastic player, and obviously he's one that was wanted by the club. So what do I know at the end of the day? I don't know exactly how Thomas Frank is going to play, so maybe Gibbs-White has exactly what we needed. But as I don't know, there are players that I'm a sucker for someone who can get the fans off of their seats, and Morgan Gibbs-White's really good at a lot of things, but I don't know if that's like his skill to the extent that someone like Madison or someone like Eze, we were linked to it early in the window. I feel like those are more players that'll get the fans going. That's why I love the signing of Kudus, because I love Kudus, and I love the way that he can just like control the ball, even if he can be frustrating at times. And I'm sure we'll see that as the season goes on. But yeah, I'm the thing that I'm most it's just confusing. Like I don't know how Tottenham seems to get themselves in these things, because it was like we had Dybala, we had we had Dybala earlier with the image rights and we've now this, and it's just like I don't know. We seem to come up with new ways to mess up transfers, and it's just more interesting than anything at this point, because
Is it us messing up, or is it clubs finding new ways to prevent us getting things over the line? Like
oh, it's
it did really annoy Forest that it was us. It
yeah.
particularly bothered them that if it was City, I think they'd have been like, oh well, it's City, we're not going to compete with them anyway. I felt like with us, it's like not Spurs. We're not having another club in the mix that could, solidify their place ahead of us.
Yeah, no, that's definitely part of it, but I don't know. Maybe that I don't know. There's a lot of different reasons why. I don't think that this one was particularly our fault. It does feel like something like Joe said, something untoward happened somewhere, and I don't know what it was, but it happened, and it's over now, and I don't know. I hope he enjoys his time at Forest. He didn't sign a super long contract extension, so I mean, they're gonna have to go through this whole song and dance a year later. Hopefully, his release clause is more public this time if he has one. And
Well, that
I don't know,
on
best of luck to him.
the contract there, Deej, I had a question for you guys on that. It seems like to me Forest have won the battle today, but Gibbs-White's not committed to anything beyond 2028. So it's a 3-year deal. Typically, if a player wants to stay, it's a minimum. These days, 4 years isn't that long. These days, you're looking at 6 years plus if you're, trying to tie down a player for any meaningful amount of time. Because once you get into the last 2 years, things start to get, the incumbent club has far less power once you get into the last 2 years. So this time next year, they get back in the same position again where clubs are circling and they're probably hoping they're going to get above 60 million. But he's going to want to leave again. That wasn't despite the interview that felt a little bit odd, a little bit
A little?
dropping Marinakis' name 3 times in the space of a minute, saying I love the club, blah blah blah, but at the same time only committing to 1 extra year. Joe, what does that feel like to you? The players just kind of been pushed a bit into that situation, or are we diving into some weird conspiracy theory type stuff when we start all this?
Yeah, I mean, anything I'd say is allegedly, from my opinion. There's definitely no fact about this at all, but it does feel that way. But I also could just be wanting it to be that way.
Even Connor,
but I'm definitely not sad about this situation. I just want to point out that I'm not going to be doom and gloom about anything. It seems like that's the MO at the moment, just to be all sad about everything. I don't think it's long term is a problem, but yeah, I feel like his contract is weird. It could be that they just wanted to make sure he's like, if you play 1 more year, you can go to whomever you want next season. That could be what the deal is, like a handshake deal. He could be falling for the handshake deal.
Well, we should just chuck in a few cheeky bids just to see if the release clause is still there, right? Just chuck down a 70, see what happens. Just imagine the humor if we found out there was a £65 million release clause and we just started it all over again. But there was a comment in here about, I've lost it now. It was about Eze from Dragoon These Nuts, one of our members. He says, surely we could just use the money now to go get Eze. Because do we just not, get the hopium up of that one? Because it feels like the pathway with Arsenal has begun for Eze, right? Or are you thinking, yeah, go on Spurs, whack 60 million quid down?
I mean, we had a here we go down for Morgan Gibbs-White, so anything can happen. I don't know. Arsenal spent a lot of money this window. They obviously, I guess they could spend more. I don't know what their finances are like, but I think that I think that there's a chance that they need to sell before they can buy. Lots of clubs are in that position, and if that's the case, then why not? Why not just test it out? Do I think we'll do that? Probably not, because I think that if we wanted Eze, we probably would have pursued him more actively at the start of the window. But I don't know, maybe Morgan Gibbs-White was our number one target, and we just assumed we'd gotten him because we triggered a release clause that apparently didn't exist or did exist. We didn't meet the requirements. We did meet the requirements. We knew about it, but apparently not enough. I don't know. I'm confused.
But Eze, I have reservations with him. That's mainly because I think what Morgan Gibbs-White brings is the left wing thing. I think is very secondary to that signing, or even sits in third place in terms of the reasons why you'd sign him. I think what was appealing about Gibbs-White is what he has that Maddison doesn't is the ability to play a bit deeper, be a bit more physical, pick up the ball deep, tackle a bit, win the ball occasionally, and drive forward and play that kind of role. Whereas we tried it with Maddison, but he's got different strengths. And in the final third, Maddison's got the capability to do brilliant things. And I think he's a player in the squad we have to hold on to. But Morgan Gibbs-White adds a bit more of a physical kind of 10 role, more of a runner, more of a tackler up the centre of the pitch rather than the left wing thing, right? And Eze's more of the, Maddison mould in the sense he's got these moments of magic. You want him running at players a bit, but he's not going to bring that steel in the midfield, is he?
I guess more of the Kulu mould, but they're flipped from the right to the left.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I think it's to an extent, I think it's kind of you kind of don't want to fall to the trap of having every player able to do everything. Like, I don't know how many times I've gotten frustrated at Spurs signing hybrid wingers to play for example, if we sell Richarlison and Tell is our backup striker, I do not think that is good for us. I do not think that is a place where he plays his best football. And so I don't like. We have players that are very good at ball winning and like ball retention. Like Bentancur, when he's not like chasing squirrels up trees, is like a really good at breaking up play. Sarr can run forever and he can break up play really well. He has a knack for like finding where the ball is going to bounce and being there. Bissouma, when he's on, he is also a really, really good defender. And so we have, because of the profiles that we already have, we have that kind of space for a more traditional, I think, like number 10 that doesn't do as much defensive work. Because I think that our biggest issue, and the biggest issue since Maddison went down last season, and the biggest issue that we've seen in the preseason game so far, is we don't have someone who can pick that lock. And yeah, if that means if we have someone who can pick the lock better, but they don't make a tackle or two, and they give up like a giveaway yellow, because Maddison, for as much as he's not great defensively, he is not afraid to go and pick up a card. He's not afraid to go in behind someone and just chop them down by the ankles. Like,
yeah, that's true.
It's not like these players don't want to play, like don't try to defend. They're just like not great at it. But that doesn't mean that we can't still use that as like a means for like the press or something else. So like, I don't know. I think that I would probably be okay giving up a little bit of like grit that someone like Morgan Gibbs-White would offer to have a little bit more of the lock-picking ability that I think Eze possesses.
And I don't want to get down the excuses route of like, no, don't get Eze. He can't do that one thing. That kind of isn't why the main reason you signed him anyway. He would elevate the quality of our team. He would add value, and we can afford a player like that. So I would be much happier if we woke up tomorrow and suddenly signed Eze. Then I wouldn't have the reaction of, oh no, why did we get him? So yeah, I get it. I don't want to start making excuses of, we shouldn't do this, that, and the other, because I think right now we need to be acting with a bit more urgency than we've been. But I do want to talk about Ross's comment there about Morgan Gibbs-White's personal situation. I don't think we should forget these are human beings with things in their lives more important than football, believe it or not, more important than keeping us happy as fans. And one of those things in life you could say with absolute certainty would be more important to most people is having a child and your wife's well-being. He's going through a complicated pregnancy, his wife, and as a family, they're navigating through that. It's fair to kind of assume maybe uprooting and moving city during that period might not be as appealing as it would be when things are a bit more settled. Now, we don't know if that's a factor. For all we know, his wife wanted to go to London and be more comfortable there. But I'm just assuming that their friendship groups, their family circles, all those things are going to be around there, their support networks. Maybe that ties in with the whole idea of just signing a short-term contract, staying put, and readdressing, your options next season rather than right now. And kind of everyone feels like they've come out of it with a reasonable relationship, except for Spurs and Spurs fans and Marinakis. Sorry, did you? I can say something there.
Nothing.
You were laughing.
Yeah,
You disagree?
No, I think you're right about the Spurs fans and Marinakis being the. I don't know. I think if you read anything about Marinakis, you'll come away with a bad taste in your mouth anyway. So it's not like this has severely changed my opinion on him. It's just reaffirmed it.
Yeah. Joe, what about you? The Marinakis Levy kind of rivalry thing, is that real? Is that just invented by us fans as some fake kind of boxing match type thing?
I mean, it could be real that they've just had an altercation and they've got two guys that seem to never want to lose an argument. It does seem to me that it's kind of like, it feels as if we are Spurs are the parents and Marinakis is the toddler, and the toddler has won the argument. That's the taste it's leaving in my mouth. So how could you lose to that? But yeah, the family situation, I completely understand. But what we do as fans is we always project our own personal feelings towards things onto a situation. So mine and yours, because we have kids, we're probably thinking that exact thing would be like that. But then DJ might be like, who cares about kids? Just move. So sorry, DJ, made you look like a bad guy there. But
no, I agree with that there are personal reasons behind wanting to move or not wanting to move or whatever. I haven't really followed anything with the personal information. It doesn't really feel like my place to discuss.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that too. We don't really know, so it's kind of like we have to sort of move on as fans from the situation. I am still interested in the behind the scenes. I would read the story about it in 5 years' time. Doesn't mean I can't be interested in it, even though I have moved on from him being our player. But moving on to, I honestly don't know who we could possibly get now with the Eze thing. I mean, we can't really believe all rumours that he wants to go to Arsenal, because that could just be an Arsenal headline put out. But Xavi Simons seems to be in talks with Chelsea as well. So if those two things are true, then it seems like we have to go for a younger, less established player. I don't know who else it could be that we would be going for.
I'm just seeing that Chelsea have agreed a deal to sell Renato Vega for £40 million to the Saudi Pro League as well. So they're just talk of the Devils.
Hey!
Just no connection there. Nothing fishy to see here. Funny how they don't want anyone's players who rival Chelsea. But yeah,
there's a big player in the Clear Lake investment firm that owns Chelsea. I don't know. Someone should look at that.
Yeah, maybe. But they passed the fit and proper owners test. So what do you know? The other thing I wanted to talk about was, and there was a comment in there, I think it was from Ross, but what does this all mean for Kulusevski if we're looking at another 10? You've got 2 10s. You're not going to use your makeshift 10. What are we doing with Kulu? Is he just dropping down the pecking order in that role and being seen as a right winger? What happens to Kulusevski if we bring in Eze, say, and we've got Eze, Maddison, and Kulusevski in the same side?
Yeah, competition.
Competition. I was going to say that Kudus kind of plays in a similar way to Kulusevski in the fact that he's very good at holding the ball. So that could be that. But we also haven't seen Kulu play under Frank at all. So we don't know how he'll want to use him in there. So it could be that he just is good at 2 positions and he can play across the right and through the middle. And we're starting 4 competitions. So there's going to be plenty of games. So I think we didn't need an extra one, because last year we lost Maddison and Kulu and we had to brute force it basically for the rest of the season. So with other players that seemingly constantly injured, a doggy, I just don't want to be in that situation again where we are lacking creativity. It's obviously super important to the way any team plays.
I mean, we already feel light on the squad and we're in pre-season. So
yeah,
it would be criminal to go into a season without adding at least, I say two, and I think I say two players because in my head that's how many we're going to sign. But deep down, I know we need 3 or 4.
Absolutely,
And
I'm
like,
with you 100%.
I mean, like maybe 2 kudos type signings where they're like, over £40 million. They upgrade the first team. 2 more of those, but then you need also on top of that 2 good squad additions, one for the wing back role and a backup striker as well. But because then I think you need 2 midfielders if you're selling Basuma. Yeah, I think you need 4 or 5. We've got a lot of work to do over the next week. Now I'm hoping that we have the same in the same way everything fell apart so quickly, actually quite slowly. The news hit suddenly and quickly when we were going to get these 2 players. We could wake up Monday afternoon and, suddenly find ourselves in a similar situation where someone we had no idea we were pursuing is coming in the door, right? Do you guys live in that? Is this copium running through my veins? Is that the word? Or is that a possibility? Because I want to move on to the topic of Langer in a second. I'm inching my way towards kind of a lot of it's made out to be the Levy, what a mess Daniel Levy people keep saying. I'm like, he's not director of football, CEO of football, chief scout anymore. Like when they were a £30 million business, took over Spurs. He's now the final decision maker and sign off, but he's entrusted Langer to run the recruitment, right? So do you guys feel, if you each give a number of how many you think we need to get in? Joe,
yeah. I think we could wake up, as you said, Monday afternoon. You got big sleeping for you there, mate. And we've randomly signed someone because that's pretty much how Langer works, and that's what's been going on. I won't touch too much on Langer yet. How many players do we need? I feel exactly the same way as you on why I think 2. I just feel like that's how many we'll get. Not that we need that many. I think we need probably 4, and they have to all be good. Like, they have to make our squad better as well. So it's really whether we're going to push the boat out or not. So I'm going to say 4 we need.
How many each? How many players do we need this summer? How many players does Langer need to bring in? And I'm not talking 17-year-old from Leeds who's not going to be in the first team. I'm talking number of first team starter type level or squad player level that immediately adds value.
I think we definitely need a starter level 6. Apparently we've been linked to Polina. I'm not super excited by that. I will come around to it if we sign him, because if I'm not optimistic about Tottenham, they will literally kill me. But I just don't think that, like I said, we have profiles in our squad that can break up play already, and that's what he's good at. And we don't have anybody in our squad who can move the ball forward, and he is terrible at that. He is really, really bad at it. There's a reason he lasted like half a season at Bayern, a team that wants to have possession. Like it seems like we will want to have, before he was essentially dropped, and now they're shipping him, like they're shopping him around Europe, because he is made for a team that is not going to have as much possession and is probably one of the best in the world at breaking it up. But as soon as you have the ball, he may as well be sitting on the bench. Like there's nothing there in terms of ball progression. So I hope that we're looking elsewhere. I think we need a starter there. And I think the rest of them kind of depend on outgoings, to be honest. I know that that's kind of a cop-out answer, but
so how many?
I think
you have to have a backup striker, surely.
It depends on if we can sell Richarlison. The thing is, I still believe in Richarlison. I still think he's a good player if he can stay healthy. I know he can't stay healthy, but he's still like a really good player. I think he probably was our best performing striker last season when he played, and that might be a hot take, but that's kind of what I believe. And I think that obviously the left wing situation kind of depends on whether or not those links to LAFC are true for Son. He's kind of in a position where I think he's earned himself the right to kind of dictate his own future, and the club kind of have to go along with that to a certain extent, especially because this isn't like a long-term thing. We already have like a player that we're trying to bring in that we think is going to be our long-term solution at left wing. So it's not necessarily, I think, in the club's best interest to drop a bunch of money on someone that we obviously won't be able to sell. If we were Chelsea, go ahead, drop 60 million on them, and then we'll sell them to Saudi Arabia for 80 million in a year after we think that Tell's ready. But Tottenham can't sell players. We've never been able to sell players, so we can't operate in that kind of that just isn't a level that we are operating in. I have seen the rumors that we're readying a bid for Rodrigo, but I have not seen them from
Shout out to Gary Becks there.
any reliable sources yet. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one.
But I
A
wanted
question
to
for you,
talk
DJ.
about. Go on.
Just 1 second. Why are you dodging the question of how many people we need to sign?
Because I think it depends. It depends. I think it depends. I think I think it would be nice to have a left back, but I don't think we need one. I think we need a 6. And I think if we only signed a 6, but it was like
Should we do a poll?
the best one in the world available, I don't even know who that would be. I did a little bit of research on it and then I stopped. But if we signed like a 100 million pound 6 and that was the only player that we signed, I think I would be more happy with that than spending like 30 million on a 6, 20 million on a backup striker, and 20 million on a backup.
Yeah,
left winger.
I understand that.
I do want to talk a bit with you guys about the bit you mentioned there about not doing a good job selling players, because I do think that there's no way in which Spurs are like have an inbox which is like I want to buy Spurs players at tottenhamhotspur.com, not www. But yeah, like an email address which is like buy Spurs players at tottenhamhotspur.com that you send an email to when you're interested in buying a player, and we just don't manage that inbox and we go, look, we're not interested in selling anyone right now. We're too busy with other stuff. If you've got a player someone wants, I don't think it's necessarily requires an email marketing campaign. If someone wants them, they'll reach out to you or their agent and say, hey, I like Yves Bissouma. Would he like to come play for me? But I don't think many people pick up the phone to inquire about our players because they're on salaries and contract stages, like a contract stage where you don't want to spend money on them because they've may as well wait for them to run the contract down. They've joined Spurs, which has been their ceiling, and people are like, well, they're not worth that salary to me. So again, I'll just wait for them to run their contract down. Or they weren't very good, or they've got an injury issue. So it's not us necessarily not being good at selling players. I wonder if it was a hangover from recruitment that didn't go to plan.
I would agree with you if Chelsea doesn't, like I said, like there are clubs, I would agree with you if other clubs couldn't flog off their fail sons to other clubs for massive value, like overly inflated values, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. I don't think that, like, even like Chelsea selling to Arsenal, like the amounts of money they pay for those players doesn't make sense to me for how they perform at Chelsea compared to how some of our players that are radioactive, toxic waste clubs won't even take them on loan perform. I'm not saying that those players play well, but I don't think they played like markedly worse than someone like Kai Havertz, for example. Like he was like fine, maybe, but like he was like positionless. He was one of those players that was like kind of jack of all trades, master of none, and he still kind of is. And like they sold him for like, in my opinion, a ridiculous amount of money. And then the players they can't sell to Arsenal, they just sell to Saudi Arabia. Like I can't believe that there's nowhere that will take any of our players.
I think Adrian Parker said Man United are in the same boat, and they are, because I don't know. Maybe it's that we and United want to play within the rules, and other clubs don't. To get those things, like there's the Newcastle Forest situation with Anderson, where it was. I mean, he turned out to be a great player, but like that seemed a bit sketchy. Like there's collusion seeming to be going on all over the place. And maybe it's either we don't have good relationships enough with people to collude, or we want to play within the rules, or maybe from the 90s when we nearly went completely broke, that it's hung up from that and we don't want to play, we don't want to risk anything. Or maybe we're just signing players that aren't good because the last player that anyone's really come in for is City for Harry Kane. That didn't go through. There hasn't really been anyone that's gone from a good player to an elite player at Tottenham for people to
Even
want to come and
Sonny,
buy.
right? He's just like, we were never really pushed that hard to keep, like, fair play to Sonny. Maybe that's why no one bothered because he wanted to stay. But I never remember, like, we never really had that challenge of like a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or a Liverpool or a Man City saying, I'll take him at 27 years old and give you 100 million for him. We never had that, did we? He's one you'd have thought would have attracted that kind of interest at some point when Spurs were struggling.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know behind the scenes. I guess if we never really got to talk about Langer, so I guess that's part of it.
Oh, no, go for it. Yeah, I'm interested to talk about him a bit more.
It's weird because this window is turning out to be like January, when we signed someone really early, nothing happened, and then we signed a couple of players late on. And they turned out to be good. Like Tal's promising, Danso, I'm very happy with him in the squads. And we'll talk about Kinsky in a bit, which is weird news about him. But I don't think it can happen again this window where we just wait for something to happen and wait for the perfect deal. But to be fair, most of the players that he has signed have been promising or good. Like the younger guys are looking very promising. And then, like Danso, as just mentioned, I think he's a great addition to the squad and pushes that back line up to a higher level. So I think it's hard. I think maybe it's just we're looking for the perfect deal too often at the moment. But then again, do we need to do that because we can't sell players because when we don't always get the perfect deal? So yeah, what do you think of Langer?
It's hard to say when you don't know what conditions he's working under. We don't know if Langer's told, like, Johan, here you go, mate, 200 million quid plus whatever you can sell. Requirements are pretty simple. Don't sign anyone over 200 grand a week and make sure they're under 28 years old. That's it. Trust you. Go for it. Or if it's, you can sign one, but then I want two out the door. And then he tries to sell a couple of people and no one wants them. And then everything slows down. Anyway, I was thinking, I just don't think we have enough details on what conditions he works on to give a completely fair assessment. But if you assess the tenure so far, I'd say he's had more hits than misses, but I haven't been blown away. It's been like a 6.5 out of 10. It's like, yeah, he's done fine, but he hasn't really bridged the gap on City, Liverpool, or Arsenal. But then you'd say he hasn't had enough time to do that yet, really. But I think we're a bit sport Spurs fans as well, in the sense that, like, not sport. We've had a history of buying a Modric or a Bale or a Son in the past, a Hoddle, a Klinsmann, all these great players. And it's been a bit of a dry patch since we've had that elite level, because Kane was an academy product. And I just don't see one coming out the woodwork with... I never know, actually. Barry Bell's kind of showing signs he could be a player like that. But it's been like steady, safe. It feels like steady, safe, data-led recruitment. Do you know what I mean? Rather than... It's hard to say. What do you think, Deej?
I think steady, safe, data-led recruitment is how you get the Modric's, though. Like,
true.
That's what
and Modric was
doing.
Data-led recruitment, actually. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think part of the I still think it's too early to tell with Langer. I've actually been pretty happy with the way that we've gone about business with him so far. I think, given that, I don't know, like I'm trying to think back to when was his first transfer window? Was it last summer? So he's only been here for 2 full windows. And like I think his big signing last year was Solanke, which I think was a position of need that improved us. And that wasn't really a data-led thing. That was, I mean, obviously the data showed that he was good, but it was also that he was a Premier League proven talent. Unfortunately, we weren't able to put together a team around him to kind of maximize his output, but he's still a good player. I think Archie Gray is someone that is really exciting and will continue to get better. and we've kind of forgotten about him after him being our player of the season in January. I think if I think Odebear looked good in the preseason games. I think that he kind of feels like a Kudus Jr. and he's still really young, so we can give him time to kind of develop there. And is someone that I could even see playing centrally if we don't end up like buying another like high profile 10. Obviously Berival was really good. I really like Tell. I don't know. I think that we've done fine. I think we haven't brought in, and then obviously this year with Kudus, we've got another marquee signing along with some more data-driven players in Kota Takai. So I don't know. I think he's done pretty well so far for like what we've been, like what we've been, the cards we've been dealt. I guess obviously it would be nice to like be able to splash infinite money, and then also be able to sell at the snap of a finger to the clubs that are just waiting for your scraps. But that doesn't seem to be the way that we are. It's just not the hand that we've been dealt, and I think he's been fine for what he's done. I think it's been better than Gabonini, and then better than I'd still say probably better so far, in my opinion, than Paratici, because for every Romero you had a Brian Heel, and we haven't. I don't think that.
Speaking of players we can't sell,
Yeah, it was like if they were footballers, I think Langer would be, more of a safe, like more of a Ben Davies type, reliable, consistent. Whereas
but I think
your Paratici was like a. You don't know if you're getting a 2 out of 10 next week or he's just going to pull out a worldie. And you get both ends of it all season.
A
Tarat. Yeah, Del Tarat. Just want to shout out quickly to Kem, because Kem's one of our earliest members and friends of the show. And she did have a question for us. Have we been played by Forest? We have to bring in quality. I think we all agree we're on the quality, not quantity stage of recruitment. We had the quantity stage last time. We're at the quality stage now. I think spot on.
I want quantity of quality players.
Yes, let's do both.
Yes, of course. Let's just drop £1 billion.
Why not?
Why not? Apparently nothing happens anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone else is. Yeah. Why shouldn't we join the party?
Yeah.
I mean, Liverpool is a perfect example of being able to sell and buy a lot of players, aren't they? They're probably going to have like a net spend of like 50 million this window. If they buy Isaac.
Well, it's nuts. Yeah, Kieran Maguire posted inflation-based transfer spending, so taking into account all the years and inflation. And there's nuances between this because football inflation probably doesn't follow typical inflation, all that stuff, but it gives you a rough idea. And I think you were saying Liverpool don't even sit in the top 40 of like the biggest spenders in a transfer window over the Premier League era this season, which is just crazy. Like if you look at the top, it just goes Chelsea City, Chelsea City, Chelsea City, Chelsea City, Chelsea City, and you get to the bottom. You get to like number 40, and it's like Liverpool. Then it's like Liverpool, Chelsea City, Arsenal, Liverpool, then Tottenham. So it's I
mean, they're probably the two teams that have won the most trophies.
Well, the consistency there is the ones in the Champions League are spending more money than the ones that are not.
Liverpool didn't spend that much money for a long period of time. They just spent really well on when they did spend money, it was Alisson and Van Dijk, and that was a while ago now. But this season or this window, they seem to be really pushing for it.
Yeah, they've already spent 300 million euros and are trying to sign Isak.
But they're going to sell a lot as well.
So far, they've moved on about 63 million euros worth of players. I don't know who else they have on the chopping block.
They got Diaz and Nunes. And
they did just sell Diaz. That's right. That's not on this. If we sign Harvey Elliott, I will be perturbed.
Is there a thing though when you're Liverpool or City that people overvalue those players because they've been part of a squad that's been carried to trophies and all that kind of stuff?
It's like when we had the Ange fans. You probably have the fans that you've gained from being at Liverpool that will come and check out your team because you bought them. We had the Ange fans come in last season and now they all left.
They did. It broke my heart. They 1 or 2 stayed around, but a lot of them, I thought we were beyond Ange. I thought we'd formed a special bond over Tottenham and we were going to enjoy Ange as kind of like you got your main show, like your side show. So everyone's got the main TV series they're watching.
The mutual friend that introduced us.
Yeah, but I sort of like you're watching a TV series, you're watching The Sopranos, whatever it is, and you dip back into Friends every now and again. You got that in common. Like we got the Ange thing. Like it's that thing we we watch together and we share news when he does something. But no.
Hey, Sean.
Big up, Sean.
Sean stayed. Sean's part of the club. Yeah. And just to clarify again, because Joe said all the time, Joe was here long before Ange.
I'm old.
Do we want to go on I want to talk talking about Ange. I do want to quickly mention the friendlies, because I think those performances, if you just imagine they're all one game, because then there's probably enough to talk about for 30 seconds. The fragilities we saw in there with the set piece, the counter-attack vulnerability, you know where I'm going with this, guys. I thought to be that highlighted, the issues when we didn't have Bentancur fit. To me, that reaffirmed my view that there's some of the issues last season were projected onto Ange. We might quickly realise were indeed gaps in the squad that we cannot leave Thomas Frank with in this upcoming window. Otherwise, we're just going to see repetitions, perhaps less often, but repetitions of those same issues that we had last year. Did you watch the friendlies? Do you have any views on? Did you see that as well? Any views on the games?
Yeah, I've views that they were probably the last two games, especially were two of the most boring games I've ever watched. The fans, though, at Luton, fans were in good form, mid-season form, I thought. I thought they were actually pretty good. They weren't very good in the first game, though, against Wickham, the fans. But the games were so boring. I nearly turned them off. I didn't. I made it through the whole of the end of the last game, but it was just not exciting. There's a couple of moments. How much do you want to talk about them? Do you want to talk about players?
Well, they were friendlies for friendlies. It was like a friendly for I'm not thinking much into it at all, but I just thought, just like the top 1% of things you could take out of those games rather than trying to break up minute by minute a 0-0 against Luton.
Without Bentancur in, I thought we looked not pretty unsafe in the midfield. I didn't think Abbott played very well, but Evans is a young guy. And then I thought we couldn't really create much at all.
That's because we had Saga as our number 10.
Saga scored twice, I guess, though. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I know why we couldn't. I know why we couldn't create much, but we still couldn't create much, if that makes sense. Like it was still a thing. And there was, the cohesion wasn't there yet, but it's all early days, so I don't want to read too much into it. But geez, I was bored.
I just wanted to do a quick little news update before Deej gives us view on it. We have disabled mid-roll ads in all of it. I'm hoping it's come through on the live show. Can you let us know in the live comments if you get adverts whilst watching this? I'm hoping you only get them when you first click on the video and when you finish. If not, it's only worked for the pre-recorded ones we do on a weekly basis. But we've disabled mid-roll ads. We've gone for viewer experience over monetization because we like you, and we also hate it when you have to sit through 10 ads of a video you're trying to watch as well.
Can we do that for ourselves then? Can we just get a like and a subscribe to the channel for that reason?
Yeah.
That'd be our ad.
Our selfless hero, Jim.
I was literally teeing up. I created a poll that I'm about to hit send on, which says, would you mind liking the video? Yes no. Not now, Jim. And I wanted to kind of build up some good faith before I did that. But anyway, sorry, Deej, friendlies. Were they friendlies of friendlies? Did they mean anything to you?
They were, I don't know, it was weird. The lineups were weird. I thought there's not really much to take away from either of them. I think it's at this point they're just running around trying to kind of get the ideas in that we're trying to begin to instill with Frank. So I think it'll be interesting to see if the standard of play increases as we have jetted off to our preseason tour. It'll be interesting to see if those matches against higher opposition lead to higher quality, or if it'll just look like more of the same. And even if it does look like more of the same, it's not the end of the world. It's a preseason match. They don't count. So I'm not super worried about it until the season starts. But I don't know. I thought it was weird that we, instead of going with like a first team squad and then like bringing in all the youth players, like each of the starting 11s was a mix, and then we brought in more youth team players. I just don't understand why I did two in the same day. I've never seen that before, and I don't.
There's more minutes, I think, in their legs. I think
Yeah,
it was just a run around.
Yeah, but like I feel like a lot of the minutes, I feel like we got 90 minutes worth of first team players minutes. So I guess we just want to do it for the kids, see how the kids bet it in. I don't know. Like, 'cause that's really the only thing I can think of. Because like based on the amount of minutes that were played by people that I think will have like an impact on the squad this season, I think we got about 90 minutes. Like if you could have just had like the first half of the Luton game and then the first half of the Wickham game, and if you would just split that up between first and second half, it's 90 minutes. So I guess I can't think of anything besides it being like trying to see, how will Abbott play with the first team?
How did Abbott play, guys? So, Joe, you didn't, because there's a question on that, Deej. So I have to get the answer now. Joe said not for him in terms of performance, but he's young, not saying he's crap, not saying he's rubbish. He may be absolutely brilliant. Great to see academy players in there, but just based on that game, as it was the question, wasn't great. What about you though, Deej? Did you think much of his performance?
I have a rule against saying anything negative about anyone in a preseason game because it's a preseason game.
That's
and
good.
I don't
Good
care.
policy. Yeah.
I think Odegaard
I
looks
don't have
good.
that rule. Don't
Really?
I think
Yes,
Odegaard
he
looks
is.
good. I think that was the one player from the Wickham game that I thought. I guess I don't know. Sarr scored twice
Austin was great.
until you're real.
Don't feel sorry for Austin. He's got the dream job, guys.
He does have that's the best job in the world.
He goes
isn't it?
Spurs on tour, gets to say he's played with no pressure if it goes wrong. And
He's played in some European games.
yeah, and we won the whole thing. He got the trophy and everything for that.
Yeah.
He did his part. He was a cult hero. Everyone loved him in the ground in those games. Did his bit, but he had 26 years to train for that one moment, and he took it. Did all right. But he's got. I think he's happy being third choice. Otherwise, he would have just hit the eject button, right? And I think he knows if he hits the eject button, it's League One football probably. Or so he's just like
The grass is never greener for Austin. It's always this. The Tottenham Hotspur training ground has the greenest grass ever that Austin could ever see.
Yeah,
I do think that is the case. And he helps our squad registration rules too, because we do need a third choice keeper, and we don't have another homegrown one.
So you're saying we're using him? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a mutually beneficial agreement in which neither party has to do all that much, but in a pinch can help the other one out. And I think that is perfect for your third choice goalkeeper.
Yeah. Just to clarify, because someone's quite right, Dennis quite right, said, when you say, would you mind liking the video? I think I misinterpreted that. I don't mind liking. That's true. I think so. Yeah. When you say, would you mind liking it? Half people have said yes, which means they do mind liking it. And the other 30% say, not now, Jim. So only 20% of you are comfortable with that's fine. That's fine. I'll end the poll. I won't ask again. Although 7 more likes get us to 50 likes on the video. So that would be really nice of you. But anyway, I'm ending the poll onto back to more important matters.
I want to talk about important. I was going to say, I wanted to talk about, speaking of Sean's comment about Abbott being loaned out again, I wanted to talk about the players that were left behind from the tour, which included, I believe, Mikey Moore, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do we feel about him going out on, not to take your job as the host, Jim, or anything, but how do we feel about him looking for a loan? Where do we think he goes to a championship side? Are we thinking somewhere abroad? What are we thinking?
I think he needs a loan.
Well, yeah, but where?
Elaborate more. No, I'm just saying I think it's the right move is to not have him in the squad this year and to get into somewhere else. But Jim, you can elaborate more on the details of that loan.
First, hello to Hisu, who's another friend of the show and a legend. And Andrew as well, send our best. Yes, I've always been advocating for him to go on loan since the start, and I will get to your question of where, Deej. And we've had many arguments in the WhatsApp group, and you gotta be the childish one and take it when you get it right, because you get it wrong a lot as well. I talk about myself here, and I said valiantly against an army of pitchforks that Mikey Moore would get a loan, and everyone said I was crazy. He's the next wonder kid. He's staying. We're going to get those minutes into him at Spurs this season. I think he's a brilliant talent, but he needs to go out on loan for he could go on loan for 3 consecutive seasons and come back a very young player with 10 years left in the Premier League plus. So it's no insult to say he needs a loan. It's just what's good for him to do. I would start safe as possible. Don't try and chuck him into the top end of the championship where he might not get minutes, because he's at a stage where you want him to be playing too much men's football, being slightly too good for a team, then find himself on the bench, and then we're trying to recall him in January and all that stuff. I would say top end of League One this season, Championship the next season, and then Premier League the one after. DJ's shaking his head. He can't believe the insult I've just put across to Mikey Moore.
I don't know. I think he's a little bit better than League One, but maybe I'm just being biased because he's got a cool last name that I like very much.
He does, yeah.
But he, I don't know. I think that I don't want to be I don't want to be once bitten, twice shy about like overshooting loans where that's happened with players like Scarlett before. But I think that Mikey Moore, I do think he's a special talent, and I do think that he's someone who could go to maybe not like a high, like a top tier championship team, but I think a mid-table championship loan wouldn't be the worst thing for him. I think there are lots of clubs that could use someone like him. I think the more interesting question is where he's going to play. I think that it's interesting that he was played as a 10 in the Luton game. Will that be where we want to develop him long term? Now that we have someone like Matisse Tell, who is, as of now, our plan to be a long-term left winger, unless they see him as a striker, which I sort of doubt. But I don't know. I don't see him in training every day. I also was going to say that the concept of a loan to somewhere abroad is interesting. I was thinking more the Netherlands, but I don't know, just because the Netherlands are.
But Forest on loan.
Yeah. Don't really want to be doing business with them at the moment.
You'll probably never get him back.
No,
There'd probably be some.
Just
wouldn't be allowed to leave.
Yeah.
He'd just be on a permanent loan at Forest with Gibbs-White, living in some shared accommodation with bars on the windows.
I did see to Krasel's comment about sending him to a club with European competition. I can't remember if it was about him, but I swear I saw a rumor from no real source about linking him to some clubs in European competition. I do think that would be really good for him. I think, especially because like those kinds of atmospheres are going to be the closest, are going to be, I don't know, like the biggest pressure for like a player like him, and like in clubs like clubs that are like abroad, like the European competition is just makes so much money, especially if you aren't going to be at a club that is pushing to win. That's not necessarily pushing to win the league. Those kind of games are going to be your biggest like pressure games outside of derbies. So I think giving him that kind of experience would be really nice if we can find somewhere that could.
He's still 17, right? He's still 17, isn't he? I'm not too sure.
I think he's 18 now.
I think he may have just turned 18 because I think he signed his contract. I don't think he can do that. No, he's 17. He's 17 until August 11th, which means he will be 18.
Still only 17 years old.
He'll be 18 by the time the window ends, though.
So I mean, I was going to say if he's 17, he can't go to Europe.
Yeah,
because of.
But he can in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. So that's fine. I mean, it's interesting because we don't know him as a person. There could be. I'm actually leaning towards he goes somewhere in Europe because a lot of those countries are good at developing players, or he stays in London specifically at a club so it's close by. And both of those things kind of contradict each other, but it's because we don't know him as a player. Like, what did the club think he needs to develop the most? Is it he needs to become a man? Well, I'd send him overseas then. If he needs to play against men in a harder, sort of more physical, faster paced league, well, I'll try and get him to QPR. So like it just depends on what the club need from him and what they think the best is and what he thinks is a good route for him. But he has so much time, obviously. Like he can go on 3 loans before he hits his peak or he is ready for the league. But he needs to play regularly now, and I just don't think he's ready to play regularly for Spurs. but he will be in the future from what he shows glimpses of.
Someone got an advert in the video. I'm fuming. I'm looking at the settings now and how that can be switched off, but I think it's just when it's live, they don't let you switch them. Here we go. Help viewers explore your automatic chapters. No, I don't know. I'll figure this out.
Peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, I need to find a way of disabling ads on live videos as well. I will find a way. I'll find a way.
Unfortunately, I don't think YouTube wants you to do that because
no, they don't like
YouTube
it.
makes
No,
a
they
lot
make
of money
money.
from those ads.
Yeah, they kind of depend on it. Otherwise, I cost them money. Yeah, and I also do need a little bit of money from this. But I was just going to put a little advert at the start. And anyway, where we're going, we're digressing massively. You guys convinced me Alone Abroad is completely the way to go once he's turned 18, I think. Although I wouldn't mind a year in like an English league, and then he can literally go on 5 freaking loans and come back as 22 years old. He's got so long to develop. He can literally just do
by
all of
Wonder
them.
Kid standards. No one's ever
All of them.
been good after being bad at having a bad loan in their early 20s. That's never happened before.
Oh, no, never.
No,
Never.
no one at our club ever has.
No,
Especially
no.
not at Tottenham.
No.
Definitely not an English forward.
Ollie Skip. I think he's talking about Ollie Skip, everyone.
Yeah, Ollie Skip. Yeah, that's right. Did we have any more topics?
Sonny.
Gents? Sonny. He
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
coming to Deej. Just a 5-hour drive from Deej.
Yeah,
Could be
I will
Son
not be
Heung-min.
making-
Deej, you excited by that prospect of him going to LA?
I mean, I'd go see him if he came, but I don't know. It's if he wants to retire, I think that there aren't really many better leagues than the MLS to come and have a kickabout. I think Lloris is still at LAFC. I don't know though. He may have retired. It's possible. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not the biggest MLS supporter these days, but I don't know. The LA is a cool city. I think. Yeah, if he wants to come retire, kick it with Messi or whatever, then it's a good place to go. I don't really know how much money they'd be willing to throw at him, which would make it interesting. We would probably have to accept it.
15 million.
Not below market value. What did you say?
15 million I've seen.
Okay, yeah, so somewhere around there. So I would call that amount of money kind of negligible in terms of Tottenham's finances. I know it's not. I know every bit counts, but
Could we be the first club to be blocked from selling a player for having the wrong market value? We're selling them for too little.
Absolutely.
Whereas Chelsea can sell a £1 million academy player for 50 million quid, and someone goes, "Nah, Spurs, sorry, you've sold some for 15. He's worth at least 20. You're not allowed."
Nah, that won't happen.
No, I'm only joking. But Joe, how do you feel about the whole thing? Would you be content with Son staying? Happy with Son staying? Does it depend on the circumstances? Like, where's your head with?
End of last season, I thought he could still contribute to the squad. But these 2 preseason games, and I know DJ, you had the rule of not judging of preseason games, but I bet you Thomas Frank's judging of preseason games. So
that's true.
So he has been looked disinterested.
Deej, didn't he?
What did you say?
He got you there, didn't he?
He wasn't even listening.
I would hope that Thomas Frank uses more than 2 preseason games to judge a player because there's lots of film on him, and I'm sure he's evaluated him before the season.
Yeah.
You know,
I can mute him. Sorry, Joe, I can mute him. I can mute him.
Yeah,
I can mute him.
I can mute him. Now, he has looked disinterested, though, in my opinion. That could just, we've got 10 years of seeing what Sonny's body language looks like. So I guess we can kind of judge off this body language. But he's been pretty poor. But
everyone was poor the preseason, right? Pretty much.
Not everyone.
Most.
No, Odebear was good.
Odebear was good.
Actually, no,
the back line was decent against Wickham, except for Austin. But they didn't have to do much.
Sonny was late back to preseason, and he's been coming back from injury. I think that's worth flagging as well.
Didn't he have international duty or something? I remember.
It's more his facial expressions though don't need to have a preseason, and he's just like
maybe he's still hungover, just still been partying with that trophy.
Pretty hard. I don't know. It's a really tricky one. I feel kind of either way is the right decision at the moment. He could stay and be a bench player. I just can't. Like,
Peter Crouch spoke about this, didn't he? The moment he knew it was time to leave Stoke was when he was told to go warm up at half time at Stoke, and it was like he'd been left out of the main squad for like the big game, and it was like a cup match against a League Two side or something, and he was just sent to warm up in the rain, even though he knew he wasn't coming on. And he was just like, "What am I doing? Well, how have I gone from Liverpool and Spurs and all those things to this? It's just age catching up on me. Time for a new start somewhere else, doing something different." But
I just want to can I mention the cynicism that people have about Son going to Korea? I know Jesus kind of joking around a bit, and being Korean, she can definitely joke about it. But if there was a player that was like a national hero for here in Australia that was playing for Spurs and it was the end of their career, I would want him to come and say good, like have a farewell in my country, but also it's never been about sale shirts for Sonny. He's been an amazing player for so long. I don't think it's fair to say, oh, what are Spurs going to do with that market now? That's the only reason we signed Yang, for example. I think that's just not true. But the reason that the South Korea tour was put together was because Son's in our squad. Like, they do it for marketing. That's fine. Like, why not? There's a massive market for him there. They all want to see him. So even if it is a farewell tour, like, I think he deserves it. I don't think there's anything wrong with having that situation happen.
I do, yeah. But like the idea that like we can't sell him before the preseason tour is over is, I think there might be some credence to that, because I know that I've heard of other preseason friendlies where it's like you're contractually obligated to play certain players. I know that it was like a big deal with like Messi with like Inter Miami, for example, and like the preseason.
I think it's fine that happens.
I think it's fine that it happens, but like I could see that being a thing. But even if it does happen, I don't care. Like, it's whatever. The club, if it's a thing, then I don't think that would preclude the club from like Gary said. I don't think that it would preclude the club from making a deal and then just announcing it afterwards.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it derails our preseason by a meaningful amount.
Yeah, I think it's.
I kind of feel like it would be unfair to say, well, just not true to say we aren't. If you just didn't have Son in your squad versus you did, you're better with him than not him at all. Obviously, it's different if you're saying, oh, you have to sell Son to sign someone else. But we're better. We've got a more rounded squad with him in it than not. Like, he can add value to a squad in a different capacity probably to in previous seasons, but he adds value. The thing with Son is, I feel like if he stays at Spurs another year, he might not be able to command a 3-year contract with another club, because he'll hit a point where they were going, 1-year deal, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And he's got to join basically the first year of probably 3 to 5 year project at Spurs, where he won't likely get much out of it in terms of glory. And, he's going to do a lot of the hard graft and be at the early build stage and not there at the end. Wouldn't it be nicer for him to go to a club that's saying, we're at the end of our project, we're looking for a few finishing touches, do you want to be a part of the squad and see if we can get it over the line straight away? Like, I think if an opportunity like that presents itself, I would. That's where my head would be at Sonny. Like, that's the right place to go. Get a 2-year contract at a club like that wants you as a senior experienced pro, that they think it's just gonna be that last little difference to get them over the line. And it won't be the Premier League, might not be La Liga. It could be Eredivisie. It could be still a reputable top 5 league. Somewhere else. I don't see what's wrong. It could even be, MLS. I don't know. But I think that's more appealing in that sense and better for his career if he wants to do that, which I think he'd probably prefer to do, you'd guess. Do you think he's a bit sick of meeting new managers as well? How many has he had? Like 6, 7?
That'll be at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very good point, Jim. I agree. That's probably be an ideal situation for him, or that he just has a perfect injection in his legs and they roll back a few years. And Kinsky, though, what does that mean?
Well, let's talk about Kinsky. I mean, I guess it's a similar situation to Mikey Moore. I would love to see him get consistent first team minutes. If we have determined that he's not going to get them here, which I think makes sense, then yeah, go for it. Go send him to Lille or whatever. That's a good standard of competition for him to be in, and I do think long term that his ball playing is something that's really, really valuable especially for a club that wants to play the way that we do. And so being able to cultivate the more normal goalkeeping, stuff that goalkeepers need to do. 'Cause I do think that Vicario is still better at being like a goalkeeper. But I don't think it's too out there to say that Kinsky is already probably better in possession. So if Kinsky can just develop a little bit more, get a little bit more minutes under the belt as a primary goalkeeper for a European club, then yeah, sure, why not?
You're asking me,
And
Joe.
nice backup.
I need him to go on loan so I can win a WhatsApp argument, but I don't think it's good for us if he goes on loan. So it depends what's more important. Like I said to Stu, we had an hour-long argument in front of 100 odd people in a WhatsApp group over whether Spurs needed another keeper in the squad. The most pointless discussion ever, arguing whether you need a better third choice or fourth choice keeper. But anyway, we digressed down that road because it was midnight and we probably had a glass of wine in our respective homes. And this would allow me to say, yeah, definitely that keeper now, though. Told you, this is why I thought that. This is exactly why. I didn't say it. This is exactly why. But no, seriously, I think when it's a player that's got potential to be your number one day in any position, they need minutes more than anything else. You want that. If they're not going to get the minutes playing for you, you have to find a way of getting them those minutes. And sometimes that means a little bit of short-term compromising. And I don't know if Spurs just have to go and do that thing where you find a 35-year-old keeper who's not Fraser Forster. Maybe it is Fraser Forster.
No.
Scott Carson's still playing. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like someone who's someone like Nick Pope. Newcastle are going to replace him this year and upgrade him. You say, do you want to come here as number 2? You'll get to play in the cups, and you never know, you might win one. And then you let Kinsky have that loan, and then Kinsky comes back in a better player, and he's elevated up in terms of status in the squad. What do you think, Joe?
I think it's just, I don't think it's a good idea to send him out. I think he'll play lots of minutes. Look at like Liverpool have had Kelleher for a while. City had Ortega, who were both great goalkeepers in their own right within the squad. Goalkeepers is a different position to the rest of the team completely. They just end up like they play less, but there's plenty of games for him to play as well for Kinsky. I mean, your Pope call would be good because he'd be as good as passing as what Vicario is. So that would be a nice balance for the squad. But yeah, Vicario still a better shot stopper. They're both a bit shaky in the air from crosses, and Kinsky's 1,000 times better with the ball at his feet. I just think, why not have them compete, push each other to be better, rather than bring in someone and make it. Because we're just going to be in the same situation next year, but it'll be more of a, if Kinsky goes out and has a great loan, then he comes back and it's like, well, now we are going to, who's our number 1? Kinsky. And yeah, so could he just not do that, playing all the cup games?
I think it's really hard to. I think that especially with goalkeepers where you don't really need to rotate them as much. I think that
you don't.
Having more consistent minutes is really beneficial.
One more thing though is that.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, finish your thought off.
I was just going to say that I think that like an underrated aspect of goalkeeping is being comfortable being like assertive from the back line, and I think that was something that we kind of saw. We see Vicario do really, really well, and that's something that I don't necessarily think Kinsky has done as well. And so I think having that, like having to be in that position every week, is one of the best ways I think a player can get better at doing that specifically, like that kind of communication that is required from a top level goalkeeper.
It's also another job we have to do with the squad. It's something else we have to do. Like it's someone else we have to scout, bring in, organise contracts with. But I guess, yeah, seeing as Jim just left the screen, American football, you can only have one starting quarterback, and it doesn't work to have two. So
Oi, get it out, mate.
Please,
Get it out of here. Get it out of here. Shoo. NFL chat. No, I'm all for that. I just don't know what you guys are talking about, so I feel left out when you start talking about it. But
that's why I was waiting for you to leave. Anytime you look away, me and DJ talk NFL.
Yeah.
True.
I think those were all the main talking points, unless we want to start pointlessly going over something that's not important and made up. We could do made up transfer rumors, like some
Pick a
other
transfer
people
rumor
have done.
that you want to make up.
What you do is you just go on
James
Google.
McAtee to
you just
Spurs
go
R10.
Tottenham transfer rumors,
McAtee.
and then
The
you go
problem
on
is-
to.
Is all
Go
of the players that I'm like, I think we should sign are just the players that have been my football manager gems.
God, look at these headlines. World-class La Liga signing tip to smash Tottenham wage structure. Should we take the mick out of them?
Had to guess
Should
who
we
it is.
guess? Should we guess who it is?
That's Rodrigo, right?
Made
That's
up
gotta be
stories.
Rodrigo.
Oh, it would be Rodrigo.
Gotta
Do we
be
even talk
Rodrigo.
about that? Because that's just.
I mean,
surely
it doesn't. We talked about that a little bit. I think it'll be a really interesting signing. I think he is their third best left winger, but I think they also have like three of
Clickbait
the
clearly works, by the way.
7 best left wingers in the world. So it's not the worst to sign him. I'm not.
We're going to spend
pulling
90
that
million
number.
or over 100 million. Go from 60 million to 100 million as a signing. It'd be
That would be something. I think
That would be cool.
Calvert-Lewin is a backup option.
That would be the
worst
ultimate,
for
wouldn't it?
us.
Because is he better than Gibbs-White?
Rodrigo. Yeah.
Do you know what's weird about Rodrigo? I've probably seen him play last year about 3 times. I watched Real Madrid, and every single time he was great. But I also see a lot of people talk about how overrated he is. So
Well,
have I
yeah,
just
that's because-
randomly got the games that he was really good in, or
Do they
Well,
want to
like,
get rid of him?
The problem is that they have 3 players in Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Mbappe whose best position is all left wing. And so when Rodrigo plays on the right, he is not as good. And therefore Madrid fans are going to say that he's shit because
They also just think everyone's rubbish. They thought Bale was
Yeah.
rubbish.
they thought Benzema was rubbish. They thought Modric was rubbish. Yeah, they just think everyone's rubbish until like they win the Ballon d'Or. I think they're already starting to turn on Mbappe. But that's neither here nor there. And then if you're a club like Madrid, if your fans aren't propping them up, other fans of other clubs who might not like you, like because like probably one of the other biggest fan bases in sport is Barcelona, and they don't like Madrid very much. So if Madrid's fans are dogpiling on Rodrigo, then of course all the other fans of the big clubs that don't like Real Madrid are gonna also dogpile on him. I don't know. I think it's weird. It's hard to judge a player, especially in a system like Ancelotti's system, where it's kind of just like, and that's it. Sorry for audio listeners.
go out and be good.
Yeah, exactly. Go out and win the game. But he's very clearly talented. I
But
don't know
surely
if-
his wages are going to surely it's gonna be one of those where it's like a loan type thing.
The reason I don't think it would be a
Off the
loan is
style.
because there's no long term. It's not like they're aging out their other left wingers. Their other
He's
left wingers are-
affordable. 200 grand a week. Spurs can do that. That's the top end, but we can do that. We can do up to 250, I reckon.
Yeah, I was gonna
No
say like
idea if
I
that's true, but yeah.
I think if you gave him the opportunity to come, I'm going to go on record and say I do not think this will happen. Mostly because none of our transfers get leaked. So, although Madrid are a different animal, I'm going to go on record and say I don't think this happens. But if this does happen, I can see the logic. You take a bit of a pay cut. You're still getting paid a lot of money, and you're maybe you even maintain, maybe even get a little bit of a pay raise because if we do move off Son, I believe he is one of our highest earners at the moment. And
He would be, yeah.
so
If we sign him.
we open up a big amount of wages by moving Son on if we move him on. And
True.
if we sign Rodrigo, there's no way we don't. I think, in my opinion, there's no reason to have 3 first team primary left wingers.
I've seen a 1-minute compilation so far. I want him.
Yeah, of course. That's what.
If
That's
we
how it
signed
goes.
him,
He's good. Get him in.
how long would it be? Say we signed him randomly tomorrow. Jim wakes up after the afternoon to Monday, and we've signed him, and then we don't sign anyone again. How long is it till people start getting angry again?
4 days.
4 days.
Well, like, isn't he the type of signing though that we agree a fee, we get the here we go, and Chelsea intercept the taxi on the way to Hotspur Way.
Chelsea
And then we're
do
like,
not.
what happened?
The thing is with Rodrigo, the reason why I think we would potentially have a chance, even though, like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. The reason I think we would have a chance is because I don't think this is a position of need for many of the other larger clubs in Europe. For example, the Bayern just sold us Matisse Tel, so clearly they're not worried about their left wing.
Well, it's apparently going to sign Luis too.
They just signed Luis Diaz.
Yeah,
But I'm assuming that Liverpool must be planning on playing one of Ekitike or Isak on the wing, because otherwise there's no reason to buy both of them, unless you just want to be I don't know, unless you just want to have the two best. That'd be a crazy
tall,
1-2
lanky
punch.
strikers.
You just got two amazing players competing for
tall, lanky strikers that can swing in and out without
I
anyone noticing.
Yeah, but I feel like you would just sign an 100 million winger and an 100 million forward, and I feel like that makes your team better than signing $200 million.
Yeah, but get the winger as well.
I mean, if they want to drop 300 million on 3 players and 2 of them play, go for it. But I would assume that they would be thinking somewhere along something, especially with them signing 2 very, very attacking wingbacks. I would assume that would open up the idea of more of like an inside forward as a left winger, because I believe Kirketz is really good and at attacking, and so is Jeremy Frimpong. Both of those players are very, very good at going forward. So I don't think that they would need to have a traditional winger. I mean, Salah's not really a traditional winger either. So they can almost play like 2 center forwards and a.
Well, Gakpo kind of plays like them too out on the left when he plays there.
Yeah.
But so getting derailed against him into Liverpool.
Getting derailed about Liverpool's tactics that I'm not gonna continue to talk about. But I don't think they have. We all know Chelsea have 8 billion wingers, and of course they could always buy another one. But I don't think they will.
don't have any money.
United have no money. Arsenal are probably going to buy another left back before they focus on anything forward.
But it's a risk for him, right? When you're that high caliber, you're at a club like Spurs that could just say, "You're not going anywhere, sunshine. You're here for life now." Charlie Kane's your agent. You're living over there in the bunker we have, which we put Conte in and various other people that we didn't want to leave. And I think the way it would be structured would be he signs for Spurs, but there's some kind of buyback clause. Maybe it might be
I think there's just no way that he is ever. I think that if they did put that in, I think that.
I just go to bed thinking it can happen.
Yeah,
I think that, Teach.
No, I'm not saying that.
With Rodrigo compilations going through my mind with a smile on my face.
I'm not saying that it won't happen. I do think it won't happen, but I'm saying that if we do, I don't think you need to be worried about that kind of buyback clause like the one we had with Regulon.
So not only is he going to stay, he's going to stay
I think there might be a release clause, but I think the release clause would be one that would be beneficial for Spurs, not one that Madrid could come in 2 years and reactivate. And the reason I don't think that Madrid would care all that much is, like I said, they have 2 similarly aged players that play the same position as him, and they are probably going to be both in the top 10 of Ballon d'Or voting next season, or this season. So he is the most surplus to requirements player while still being good of all time, and they have other areas they need to focus on.
Right. Well, all I'm hearing is Rodrigo's joining Spurs. He's Rafael van der Vaart ×2, but younger, faster. And he's going to be holding up a white shirt, but for a bigger football club than Real Madrid.
He saw the trophy parade and look how big that club is. Look at all those fans in the streets.
He was actually on the skywalk. He was watching it.
Watching from there,
He was watching from there. I think I can see it. I'm generally actually on a serious note. It's like one of those that if it happened, it would. I think it's important because it would make Spurs more attractive to other players as well, seeing that we are willing to go that big. I don't know.
I do feel like we need to go big on something though, whether it's him or not. I just feel like it needs to happen. I feel like that's the stage of our evolution. Is that we need to.
Rodrigo is a Beyonce fan, yeah. So that helps us too.
That could help us, yeah.
Because he'll get to see her 5 times a year.
Maybe he's an NFL fan too.
NFL fan. Who else we got? Imagine Dragons.
Go-karts.
Apparently he's a massive go-karter.
All right.
It's all adding up. It's all adding up. We're just liking this. Maybe the special relationship with Real Madrid was teed up for this moment, and it was nothing to do with Gareth Bale, after all.
And then when a doggy gets injured, he can play left back.
Yeah. That's a good shout.
Oh, when a doggy gets injured.
No, but Sonny's going to go left
injured.
wing back.
Oh yeah,
Rodrigo left wing.
Classic. Yeah,
that's the goal.
Which is
Tell left side
forward.
Tell forward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just shove them all in there.
Saga at 10.
Saga at 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just nice. Yeah. We'll wrap up there, guys. But great to chat, and we've got another video dropping tomorrow. So give us a like and a subscribe if you'd like access to that. And then we've got Flav coming on from the Fighting Cock. We've got Ricky coming on from the Fighting Cock. Different episodes. And who else we got coming on? We had Rob Daly on the other day. I need to get messaging some people. If you any guests you'd like, do you want to join our Discord group? Do you want me to put it in the chat here? I don't actually. Has anyone got it to put it in the chat? Let me find it. Because we've got a little Discord group where you can ask questions for the pod and just hang out with people who support Spurs with a similar mindset to yourselves. If you prefer this to the sometimes quite angrier stuff, or that's fine. That's fun, that stuff, but not really our thing. So I'll put that in the chat as well. I'll pin it as a comment and I'll put it in now. And it would be great to see you there. But any final comments, boys? Anything you want to cover off before we wrap up here?
We're going to wake up to 3 new players signed tomorrow. Don't you worry.
I am going to say that I think next week we'll make a signing. I'm going to put my next on
2 weeks. I'll say next 2 weeks.
2 weeks until we sign someone?
Yeah.
I think it'll be sooner than that.
Yeah, I think we sign someone before the end of the window.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Oh, that's might be a bit optimistic. No, but
wake up tomorrow means me waking up, so give you a bit more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does give.
No, I'm going to go for us selling a player in the first half of next week and everyone losing their minds.
Brian Hill.
Yeah.
Imagine.
We're even weaker. I loved him. And then
if Brian Hill gets sold, I take back everything I ever said about Lange not being able to sell players.
So yeah, we'll sell someone, and then but on Friday, end of the week, that'll be a massive transfer bomber. Massive. Like Rodrigo will turn up, and then they'll be like, "Wait, there's another car. There's another car. Who's stepping out the car? Who's stepping out the car?"
It's Sergio Reguilon.
And it's
it's Marinakis. He's taking him to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he's still stalking him. The shout out to the women's England team, England Lionesses.
To you guys.
I watched it and I thought it was very. I got a lot of excitement out of it. I don't follow them closely. I'm kind of a bit of a glory fan. I jump in at the last stage of the tournament, but when we won, it was brilliant that Chloe Kelly's kind of been the match winner in back-to-back Euros for England. Well done to her. And everyone involved who made that happen. I don't know who all you people are, but it was brilliant. I enjoyed it. So thank you. Did the country proud. Didn't do anything for Deej and Joe though, because they're not,
I know some of the like 4 of the players on the England team are alumni of my university. So
no way.
Welcome. Yeah.
What? Oh, because soccer's bigger.
Women's soccer is pretty big here comparatively.
Yeah. So I guess you'd go to the US to get a good grounding, and Dee just died anyway on the camera. Anyway, up the Spurs. And roll on next week. Transfer bombers inbound. Come on, you Spurs.
Bye-bye.